Welcome to my garden. It's been a little stormy and the weather's a little cooler, but as you can see now, the sun is shining and the birds are chirping, and so I know that warm weather is right around the corner. So I haven't been able to work out in the yard much the last couple of days, but I wanted to share with you what I have been working on and answer a couple of questions that some people sent me. The first thing is, as I walked around the yard this morning, I found some little treasures. As you can see, there were some robin eggshells. I think because of the high winds we've had, these were probably blown out of the nest, but they're so pretty, and I put them on this piece of bark that had fallen off our locust tree, and I just thought it was a cute little setting. And the other thing I picked were some green hellebore. These are the spent flowers, so they fade to this color after they've bloomed, but even this color adds great texture if you're doing a floral arrangement. And then I picked my flowers for my floral arrangement, which today I have an iris and some clematis or clematis, lilacs, stock. I love stock because you get a lot of bang for your buck. Some myosotis in there, ranunculus, and anemones in that Mr. Fokker anemones. They have sorts of pretty bluish purple color. And globe flower or trolleus. And then I've added some broken branches I found from my lace leaf maples, a red one and a green one, and a couple of just sprigs of my golden privet shrubs, which are behind me. So you just can always throw other things together and create something really beautiful. I love to do a little walkabout every morning and just see what I can find, pick a weed. So this week I'm leaving town and I'm heading to Dallas for my son's medical school graduation, and we're going to visit with him and his sweet little family. So we're really excited for that. So I've had to put someone in charge of checking on the plants. And this leads to another question that somebody had for me was, how do you keep track of your plants and how do you get started? And one of the things I have is I have a map, a layout of my house, how it sits on the property. And so I started with that. This is for the person who's going to check on the watering. The places in the yellow are the spots where they just need to check if it gets a little hot. Those areas may need an extra drink of water. There's pots there that might need an extra hand watering, even though I have everything on timers. And the other thing is I keep a plant journal. So here's my plant journal. I have written down what I have planted. You can see where it's located in the yard, so I know exactly where it is, what its sunlight requirements are, if it prefers shade, watering requirements, and when it blooms. So when you go to the nursery and you're shopping for plants, it's a little tricky because nurseries will usually get everything in and it's timed so that it's all blooming. But pay attention to the tags because it will tell you when it should be blooming and how large it grows. And so the first season you may have all this pop of color, but then come August you may not have any, so just really pay attention to when things bloom, because you really want things blooming all year long in all the different seasons. And then the other thing is pay attention to the plant height. When you're designing your flower bed, you want obviously the tall ones in the back, and you want to look at how wide things grow. And pay attention to foliage texture and color, because all of that will add to your flower bed's beauty. Someone also asked me what I'm planning for my daughter's wedding, and normally I like to do each of my flower beds in a particular color theme, but she really wanted lots of different colors, summer colors for her wedding. And so I chose all sorts of different annuals to add to my perennials, so that everything is really bright and cheery and kind of like my sweatshirt, and just really lively. But I did have planted a couple of plants that are the same throughout. So there is some continual theme, which I think is important. And that was Dusty Miller, which is a really pretty gray color. And some Sweet Alyssum, which most people know. It's a little short white annual that you plant. It's got a little white dainty flower. And then also some Ageratum. And I did Ageratum because she wanted periwinkle blue as an accent color, and usually the blooms on Ageratum are that color. So, so I do have those scattered throughout the different flower beds in our yard, along with all of the fun colors. I had a friend send me a question. She said, how did you get started in flower gardening? And I will say that has to do with my grandmother. And my grandmother lived in the Pacific Northwest, greater Seattle area, and she had a beautiful garden. And I remember playing in her yard, and both she and her sisters, who all lived nearby, were amazing cooks and amazing gardeners. And last night I decided to clean out a drawer, and I dumped it on my floor, and lo and behold, these photos of my grandmother in her garden and her flower beds fell out, and I about cried. So this is my grandmother standing on her back porch, and look at the size of those geraniums. Aren't those amazing? And these are some of her amazing flower beds that I had pictures of. And I'm looking at what's blooming. It's probably fall or late summer. There's roses and of course the geraniums, but there's also lilies and rudbeckia or black-eyed Susans. And of course the roses. And I need to find one of those swan planters, because I'm going to need one of those in my yard at some point. But it was such a treat to find, and I have to give her thanks for my love of flowers. And another thing I've been working on are my garden tags. This is what I've been doing the past few days. I bought these on Amazon. They were really inexpensive, and I also bought a garden marker, but I have written on them all of my roses, their names, and I will hang these up when I get back from my trip. I don't have time to do it now, but it will be fun. And I like the fact that they're green, and so they'll be somewhat unobtrusive and no one will really notice them, but yet it still documents what roses are there. I wanted to show you the book that I'm reading, and it's The Last Garden in England. It's about a garden estate, and it takes place in 3 different time periods. So you get the female landscape architect in the early 1900s, and then 2 other time periods. I'm a sucker for historical fiction, especially if it's World War II. And so I think that's it for today. I hope you have a wonderful, sunny, garden-filled day, and I will talk to you all next week.